is I would say do research. Homemaking, and I'd say cooking everything homemade, there's different steps to that. And it was on fire. And cleaning's a very hard one, and I feel like I will never fully conquer cleaning. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you're having a great day, great night. My name is Brianna, and today we're going to be going over how to be a homemaker tips, different stuff I asked for different questions and stuff you guys were interested on Instagram. So I've kind of incorporated some of those into this, and I think it should be good and fun and all that. So make sure you give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and if you could share this with a couple friends, that would be great and really help me to be able to grow. So I think the homemaker is an interesting concept. I know I grew up very much learning how to take care of the home and cooking and cleaning, sewing, gardening, and that was how I grew up. But I know a lot of people weren't, just how they were raised, and it's not a problem. You can start at any point, anytime, and it's totally great. And I even know I grew up on this stuff, but that doesn't mean that I know everything. There are so many skills that I'm still learning, and there's a never-ending spool of everything we need to, but we want to learn and all that. So no matter where you're at, if you're just beginning, if you kind of feel like you're in between, or wherever you are, there's always a place where you can learn more. And that kind of goes into where I always suggest step by step of not just being oh, I need to change everything and do everything today, but little by little doing a little bit better and doing all to become better. And don't become overwhelmed because you can't do everything right now, but starting little. I know for me, that's where I need to be, slowly over time, that's where I'm going. Because even though I grew up on this, I'm still not where I want to be, and that's why I keep trying to do a little bit better every single day. Go back, and I'll actually tell some of those stories later on of a lot of the different mistakes I've made along. I don't feel like there's ever a time where you just feel like I'm perfect at this and it's great, but just continually learning over time. So I think another good thing is don't compare yourself to others, but because here's someone's house and you're seeing, especially online, or maybe you go to their house and this is where their house is perfect and they're showing you that it's perfect, or they're showing you what they want to see, what they want you to see. And you probably see my house and how I'm cleaning and doing all this stuff, and it's in reality not. There are so many messes around here right now. And not comparing yourself to, or people's skills even, comparing to them. Because again, we're all at different spots, and it's really interesting because you might start comparing, thinking, oh, this person is so good, and is great at that. And I actually was even thinking, there's someone in particular I follow online that I really like, and saying thinking, oh, she knows how to do all this stuff and it's great. Well, then suddenly she's like, I want to learn to do this, and I was like, I've been doing it for years. That's easy. And so I just think, don't compare, because there's probably something you're better at and you can share and help people, and other things you can learn from other people. So don't compare, because again, you don't know where everyone else is on their journey, what their skills are, or what you're seeing, because again, everyone's at different spots. They've also, a lot of people have spent years and years, where I've been doing this since I was little, and a lot of this stuff is simple and second nature to me. But if you're not at that spot, that's totally fine. You can get to the point where I'm at or others are at, and I'm not even saying I'm a pro. Don't even think that, because again, there's so much I feel like I'm losing at, things I'm not good at. I don't feel like I have mastered any of this, but I am actively trying every day and trying to be better. And there's sometimes weeks where I don't do good, or months, and I'm like, what is happening? My home is falling apart. But not giving up and not letting that become everything, but trying to do better, a little better every day. Another really helpful thing, especially when you're learning new skills, and wherever you're at on your homemaking journey, is I would say do research. If that's reading, if that's watching videos. I know something, especially when I was starting to do my garden. And this year, you guys know I have a really small space, and I wanted to do gardening in bags. I got bags online, and even bucket gardening was kind of the same thing. So I guess I was doing a lot more research on bucket gardening, and just started listening to videos. Just I had a whole long, my whole watch list was full of, first it was like tomatoes in a container and corn and squash and what plants to plant to what, and I just loaded it with all these different categories until I felt like very comfortable with what I was doing. And even, oh, Logan's out there mowing the lawn, sorry. That's what you're probably gonna hear for a second. If you haven't already heard, I think he's been going for a while, but now he's in the front yard, so it's fine. Until I felt very comfortable, well, maybe not very, I felt comfortable enough to start the garden, and there is still a whole lot I'm learning, but it gave me a better understanding of what can I plant here, what can I do. It helped me feel a lot better about what I was doing. And honestly, the garden's going pretty well, but, well, I'm kind of skipping ahead. We'll talk about the garden in a little bit, but I want to go into a few different sections from homemaking. So first, we're going to go over cooking. So, small and simple. If you really haven't cooked a whole lot, maybe you just haven't cooked at all in your life, or whatever it be, homemaking, and I say cooking everything homemade, there's different steps to that. And everyone's opinions and ideas of what that is are going to be different. Because someone homemade could be getting a jar of pasta sauce and then noodles, and that's it. But as you go down your journey, or maybe you never even reach this part because you're like, I don't want to do this, making pasta sauce or making your own noodles, or sometimes it's a mix. A lot of times I'll still buy noodles and make my own sauce, especially with my basil plant that I have, which is so much better. Like, oh, pasta sauce homemade, to die for. Just saying, it's so much better with fresh herbs and all that. But start one step. If maybe you've never really made anything homemade, start small. Maybe that is making something simple that's just a couple ingredients putting together, and then slowly do more steps, making pasta sauce or making bread. I think I'm doing a lot of sourdough right now, and that can be overwhelming. Even honestly, from my perspective now, I think it's easier, but if sourdough is something you don't want to think, start with normal bread. Don't feel like you have to skip the super homemade like part. You can, no judgment, like go ahead if you want, and there's nothing wrong, so I don't know whatever that was, but start where you feel most comfortable, what isn't going to overwhelm you and make you want to stop now. The last thing you want to do is to do too much, and then you don't want to keep going because of all that. I think another thing is to learn, like even setting goals of like learning a new skill a week. So maybe that is adding a new skill or a new food or something. So you're like here for example, I cook, I do a lot of homemade things, but I realized that there's a lot of like vegetables and different things I don't, and so I was like, I'm gonna throw radishes in and slowly learn how to cook more with radishes. And I think just doing like adding a food in or a new skill, maybe like one week I want to learn how to make bread, next is bagels, or maybe it's just making cookies, or trying out to use the air fryer, or new technique on how to use meat. Like there's so many different things you can do, and just like even setting a goal. If you're like, hey, I want to progress, and I want to progress kind of fast, but you don't know where, so maybe just be like a goal of like every week you want to do a new thing. Maybe you plan that on a calendar, maybe you just go with it, whatever it be, you could do. And I just like wanted to point out too that there's not like a perfect way with this either. Like I've been cooking since maybe six or seven. My mom, like, I cooked before that definitely, but like independently, where my mom would be like, go and do this, and she wouldn't even be in the kitchen, and was probably around that age. And I really think the first thing, I don't know if it was cookies or German pancakes. German pancakes I used to make a lot, I know, around that age. So she trusted me to do stuff. So I've been cooking for a really, really long time, and I feel like I am pretty good at this. I usually can just throw stuff into a pot, pan, whatever it be, and I can make it taste good. And I am proud. Like there's some skills I don't have in life, but cooking is one of those things I'm proud of, and I think you need to be proud of the skills you do have. But I got married, and I don't know what it is. I think it was a lot of I wanted to live up to a certain thing for Logan, and there was things I had to switch up because there's a lot of foods Logan doesn't like, and so it was trying to switch things up that way. And I think I was just trying to impress him so much that I got into my head, and I mean, I was burning things, and I was adding too much salt or too much seasoning, and everything was just so bad. I'd be like, what is wrong with me? This is not me. I'm really good at this. And it finally came down to, I was like, oh my God, I want to make, I found this new recipe online. It was brownie s'mores, and I was like, oh, it sounds so good. So I did everything perfect. Normally I don't even follow recipes like step by step, but this one I was going to because I was like, I'm not messing up. So I do everything, do it perfect. It's like first cook and then pull it out and put the marshmallows in, put it back in, put on the timer, and come in and just like talking to Logan, and I don't know if we smelt it first or went in. I think I went to check in on it, and it was on fire. It had hardly even been in there at all, and the whole thing had started on fire. So we like had to open up all the doors and windows and kind of let it sit there, and then we were able to get it outside, and it was frustrating because here I had been like trying so hard, and I really just lost it. I was just like so done and frustrated, and just like I can't cook anymore. I really kind of gave up on myself. But learning from that, and like I kind of hit that point where I sat down and talked to Logan. I said, Logan, I think I'm just in my head, and I'm trying my best to do what I can, but I kind of realized what had been going on. And so I started back from the basics. I was starting very easy things I knew for sure. I wasn't trying out new recipes at all. I was doing stuff very simple and easy. So started from there, worked my way up until where I'm at now again, where I can do whatever I want again. And there's even times where that can happen again, like when my sourdough, I started out and sourdough was great, and then suddenly I started having problems with sourdough, and I kind of learned a lot in that process. And I'm gonna be, I don't know when, but I do know I want to have a video coming up talking about like my sourdough flour recipe, sourdough bread recipe, or maybe sourdough in general. I don't know. I have some different ideas, sourdough videos I want to go off of. So I feel like no matter where you're at the journey, there are gonna be stumbling blocks, times when you're like, I can't do this, and starting back from ground zero, or starting with some things you're familiar with and going from there really help. Alright, we're back. I had to go help Logan with the sprinklers, so lighting may be a little bit different. Alright, so a little bit more on like cooking and kind of homemaking is also making sure that there's food on the table. And you may find like a pattern where it's like you and your husband, and maybe you kind of switch off or do whatever you need, but kind of making sure there's food ready. And sometimes if you can't always make it, either freezing ahead or maybe making the meals the night before for like lunch and breakfast, and having them like ready for your spouse the next morning. But we'll kind of sway from like cooking into like meal planning and shopping, and that can be kind of hard. I'm not good at meal planning. That is something I may not aspire, because I'm not sure I really care too much about, but would be nice to do better. I know my mom, she's come up with a great plan where she has like each day, like the day of the week planned out. And so on each day will be like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then she has a whole like stack of cards. And so then anyone in the family can go and do one at the beginning of the week, and then she'll kind of meal plan and get all the groceries she needs for that. And I know that's really helped. And I've thought about stuff like that. I just haven't got into it, because then sometimes the day of I'm like, no, I want something else. Like, so kind of finding what works for that as well. Also another great tip is buying things in bulk. When you can, buying a bigger amount, and it will last longer. As well as sometimes, or something I will always recommend is getting 2 items. Whenever something runs out, get something to replace it and something extra, so you're slowly stocking up. Because I feel like that's a really important thing about homemaking, is having stuff in the kitchen, so no matter what it is, you can have enough ingredients to just be able to make whatever you need. One thing I also really like to do is whenever I find a recipe off Pinterest, or even if it's just like a family recipe, I've tried to copy it down or take it from Pinterest, and then I'll put it into my cookbook, and then I can access the recipes at any time. So then when I'm thinking, well, what do I make? I can go through the cookbook and have all my recipes there. They're also all organized for whenever I need them. Alright, next we're gonna go into cleaning. And cleaning's a very hard one, and I feel like I will never fully conquer cleaning. But I think my biggest tips for cleaning is not utilizing, but focusing on your priority rooms. So I know priority rooms, and this is probably for most people, but my living room and then kitchen. I always want to make sure that those are clean. Probably bedroom too. I feel like if your bedroom is nice and you're like, I can wake up and smell so great. But living room, try to keep that as clean as I can, and then the kitchen. And so kind of having your priority areas. Some of your other areas may not be as organized and perfect as you want, but at least your priority areas, if you can keep those clean, I think it helps out a lot. So doing that, also maybe once a week, focusing, maybe a plan. So once a week, each day you're like, okay, this is kitchen day, this is bedroom day, this is living room day, this is bathroom day. And focusing on it like that is one good thing. I know for me, I did this for a bit and I've not been good in a long time, but each day I had certain tasks. So this was sweeping day, and I had several different tasks each day I would do, and do it that way. And then I'd have my daily tasks like dishes, and kind of picking up and some other stuff. Not been as good about that. There's been so much going on and I've not been perfect, but it really worked when I did it, and I really liked it, and I want to get to that point again. But it's like I've been talking about everything else, everything comes in steps. And so cleaning, right? When I started out, it was just cleaning, all my basic cleaning supplies from the store. And I know right now I want to get to the point where I am made all my cleaning supplies, they're all natural, and there's not toxics and stuff I don't know that's in them. So I really want to make all my own cleaning stuff, and one of those is soap. And I have everything, I just have not worked up the courage to actually do it. But in the meantime, I've actually made a disinfectant spray, and I really like it, and it's been cleaning everything really good that I have tried with it. And it's literally just orange pills and vinegar. Super easy. You just kind of let it sit with each other for a week. So working on different steps at separate times to try to get to where you want. Again, maybe you'll never be to that spot where you want, but if you're slowly working and slowly going that way, it makes things easier, and then you're not as hard on yourself. So the last area I'm gonna focus on of homemaking, there's probably a whole lot you could definitely cover, but for today's video, and for not being hours long, we're gonna just finish with gardening. So I kind of mentioned before the gardening, the bags, and doing a lot of research on it, but I would say gardening, as everything, start out small and simple. And so maybe if you've never gardened before, so number one, watch videos on what you want to plant until you kind of get a great idea on those. And then start with a small area. You don't need a giant garden. Start with just bags, or start with a tiny little plot if you have a little yard, and something simple. Start with vegetables that are pretty easy. Start with maybe some tomatoes. You can get those from the store, or the greenhouse, and then maybe some squash. Squash really are very low maintenance. Just have to keep checking for bugs, pretty much. So starting with easier vegetables that you can do, doing that little research on them and making it easier on yourself so it's not complicated. But yeah, looking for bugs. Making sure everything's watered. I know everyone always says, I don't have a green thumb, I kill everything. And I don't think that's true. I think anyone can learn anything, anyone can have skills. This really covers anything. I feel like you can learn anything, and there's nothing you're bad at unless you convince yourself you're bad at, and you don't put that practice in. So if you're I can't remember to water, put a reminder into your phone every single day. And so then you remember, oh, every single day I need to go out there and water. Or every other day, whatever your watering schedule is. I am doing every day because I want to make sure I'm doing everything by hand. It was a hand thing. If I had more of an actual sprinkler, it'd be better. Or sometimes even drip systems are a lot better, which I would love to have, but my garden is so small that I just didn't feel like it was worth it to set that all up. So I don't think anyone just kills everything. Just figure out what works for you. Simple, easy plant. But then you progress. Like for me, I wanted to grow stuff from seeds. So I started everything from seed this year for like tomatoes and peppers. But if you're just beginning out, you could start again, but if you want something easier, go to the greenhouse and pick out some there and then just plant them right into the ground and make it a lot easier that way. But also another easier thing is ask neighbors, or maybe you know someone else who's beginning, or maybe they're not even beginning, and just see if you can crop share. So maybe you plant tomatoes and they plant peppers and then you swap them at the end of the year. Or maybe you know someone who knows a lot about gardening and you can go talk to them and help them work in their garden too. Maybe if you don't have space, someone else has some space that you can help grow into. And they can have some of your stuff, or maybe they'll just let you grow in there. I don't know what all your options are, where you're at, or who you know, but looking at different stuff. So I think no matter where you're at, where you're living, what your skill set is, anyone can learn, anyone can start, and not judging yourself or judging others on what their knowledge is, because everyone has started from ground zero and has slowly had to grow up, and that could be over years. And so start where you are now, and sometime in those many years you will be just as good. So don't feel bad if you're not where you want to be or where everyone else is. It will all be good in the end. But hope you guys like this video for homemaking. Keep following for more fun videos. Hope you're awesome. But if you haven't already, go click that subscribe button so you don't miss any videos. Give this video a thumbs up. You can even push that little bell notification so you know whenever the videos are posted. And if you can share with a few of your friends, that would be great to help the channel grow. Hope you have a great day, great night. God bless.